Hello and welcome to Morris Park. I'm Clyde Morris. Today I'm bringing you Euphorbia that pretty much everybody knows. This Euphorbia is often called pencil tree. It is also known as fire sticks because when it grows out in the sun it turns kind of a red color, a yellow and red. Looks like it's on fire. It is also known as Euphorbia turricale. Now this Euphorbia I've only had for a few days. And I haven't had a pure Euphorbia turricale in my collection for quite a while. The only one I have is this plant here, which is a Euphorbia turricale stenoclada hybrid. If you look at it, it's a bit different than the turricale in that the branches kind of end up in like spikes. If you look at it, they're kind of sharp thorns. And that's from the stenoclada heritage. Also has a wider branching, looser branching than the turricale has. But anyhow, I've only had this a few days, and this was gifted to me by some folks that Deb and I met down at the farmer's market in Waynesville, Missouri, about a month or so ago. We were down there looking at the farmer's market, looking at things, and of course sometimes I find cacti and succulents at the farmer's market. And we saw a stand that was Katie's Creations. Now Katie and her husband Mike make crafts. Her husband Mike makes wood crafts, and she makes tile crafts. She makes little tile signs and prints on them and puts pictures on them, customizing them for people for whatever they may want. Whether it be some of your family, your dogs, or anything like that. She'll make it up for you, customize it, and put anything you want on there. Pretty nice job too. We've bought some things from her over the last month, and Deb and her have been talking. And when Deb told her that I had a YouTube channel, and she saw my YouTube channel, she contacted Deb and asked if I would like some of her Euphorbia turricale cuttings, or pencil tree. Anyhow, of course I accepted. You know, I always have room for one more. Anyhow, Deb brought these cuttings home. Beautiful cuttings they are. Now these cuttings have kind of a special history to them. And this is what makes them kind of special. An elderly woman that Katie knew brought the original cutting for this plant back from Africa in the hem of her dress, believe it or not, smuggled it back here in the hem of her dress, directly from Africa, and started quite a nice little tree. As she became older, she wasn't able to take care of the tree anymore, and gifted it to Katie. Katie now has this tree, and I've seen a picture of it. It's a very, very nice tree. Very big, very full. And she said it was like, I think 8 feet tall. Anyhow, very nice big tree. She had some cuttings started of this tree, and of course, gave them to me. Now, something curious about this, and Katie, if you're watching, you can comment and tell me if I'm right on this. These cuttings came to me in a plastic bucket that was full of water, and it looked like they were rooting in the water. Now, I've never rooted any kind of Euphorbia in water before, but this particular Euphorbia looked like she had it rooting in water, and they had some fine roots on them. Big, big clusters of roots, almost like it had just been growing that way. Beautiful roots, beautiful plants. They were ready to pot up, and I potted them up yesterday, or like the day before, excuse me. Potted them up the day before, and they look great. I'm really glad Katie gave me this plant, especially having the history it has with direct lines to Africa. Pretty cool, huh? Now this Euphorbia will actually grow quite large. They make like a small shrubby tree. And when I say small, 8 to 10 feet tall is pretty good size, and sometimes taller, like 15 feet. So they make quite a large Euphorbia. The other thing about this Euphorbia, you really have to be careful with it when you're transplanting or working with this, because if it breaks open and the sap gets out, this particular Euphorbia has very caustic sap. And if you leave it on your skin or it stays on your skin for any amount of time, it will blister your skin. No doubt, it will blister you. Another thing to watch out for when handling this is wash your hands before touching your eyes and so forth. Because you get this in your eyes, it can cause damage, permanent damage, and blindness. So don't get this in your eyes, folks. Be very careful when transplanting this plant. I know it's a very common plant. Everybody gets a hold of this one. but actually the sap is very caustic. So be careful with that out there when you're playing with this plant. Repotting, cutting, anything like that. But they are a good plant. They're very, very easy to grow. The actual type locality for this plant, where it originally comes from, is unknown. This plant has been in human culture and human hands for so long. Tribes in Africa actually ring their villages and or homes with this because it keeps their cattle in, keeps predators out because of this sap that leaks. Also, it kind of keeps elephants out from kind of marauding food supplies and so forth for the animals. Because elephants are known to kind of break through things and fences to get to food when times are kind of hard. And so it kind of keeps the battle down between man and elephants. But anyhow, this is a really lovely plant. Look how just bright green that is. Now, when I take this out in the summertime and set it out in the park, it'll probably turn a real bright red. And that'll be really nice, and it's very attractive when they turn this color. Now here in the greenhouse, most of my euphorbias are starting to wind down. My Euphorbia leucanura is starting to lose its leaves down now. We're going into the colder period of fall here. We're almost into winter, and we've already had freezing temperatures. So it's time to let everybody kind of dry down and lose their leaves, such as this jatropha up here. This is Jatropha podogryca, and I'm letting the leaves go down now. It's going through its dry, and it'll lose all of its leaves for the winter. And it even has some flowers up there, but it'll lose all of its leaves in the winter, and it won't get them again until I start watering real good in the spring. But anyhow, everything's doing good here in the greenhouse, as you can see. Very nice. Everybody's getting ready to go to sleep. We have a few that kind of refuse to stop blooming, as you can see here. And if you look closely at this mammillaria, you can see some buds tucked down that are just coming out. Crazy plants, huh? I think I have a plumosa around here, the mammillaria plumosa, that's also going to start blooming here pretty soon too. But anyhow, things are doing very well here in the greenhouse. A few other things here to see. Just let you get a quick look. Doing very well. And you can see my Euphorbia myli starting to lose its leaves too. It's starting to yellow down and lose a lot of its leaves. And it'll go through the same thing. Anyhow, I'm Clyde Morris from Morris Park. I hope you enjoyed this little Euphorbia. I know I'm going to enjoy it for many years to come. This is Clyde Morris. Have a good evening. Take care. Oh, one more thing before I go. I'd like to tell you that if you wish to see some of Katie's and her husband's crafts, she's on Facebook there, and her little business is called Katie's Creations. Go ahead and check that out. She's got some really cool stuff, and you might just want some of those. And she'll be glad to fix anything up for you that you might want, and customize any kind of sign or anything like that. Her husband's also very good, and you can check out what he's got going on too with all of his woodworks. Anyhow, like I said, have a good night. This is Clyde Morris. Take care.